Next thing I'm going to talk about is societies. So, diversity in Oxford. Who's that? I mean, I haven't seen it, you know, maybe it's hiding somewhere. I'm going to be talking about faith and what it's like to be Christian, especially as a fresher. The drinking culture at Oxford, I did not expect. We worship you. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel for those of you who've seen my face before, and for those of you who are new here and have never seen me, my name is Franceska, simply Fran, whatever you want to call me, and welcome to the family. I'm a first year med student trying to navigate myself through med school. Make sure to subscribe down below and like this video if you enjoy this content. I'm going to be giving you guys the second part to my second term at the University of Oxford. For those of you who have watched the first part already, I focus more on the academic side of things. So I talk about my exams that I had at the start of second term. I speak about the course structure as a first year medic. I talk about tutorials, which are one of the more famous aspects of life at Oxford. And I also kind of discuss what a typical timetable looks like for a first year medic, including practical seminars, all of that good stuff. So if I were you, I would not want to miss that out, so make sure you click the link. I think I'll put it in the information bar on this side, maybe on this side, I don't know, but if it's not there, it will definitely be in the description bar below, so check that out guys. So this is the second part to my review of my second term at university, and I'm going to be focusing more on the social aspect of things. I'm going to be talking friendships, sports. I'm also going to be trying to tackle my experience as a black girl, an ethnic minority coming from a poor socio-economical background, and diversity just in general at Oxford. I'm going to be talking about faith and what it's like to be Christian, especially as a fresher, and just to put it out there, the drinking culture at Oxford, actually just in university in general.
I never expected it.
I did not expect it to be the way it was, so I'm going to be exploring that. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So the first part of this video will be focusing on the people and like the friendships that I made, which is obviously the epicenter of social life. So yeah, rewinding back to Freshers Week, I remember the first day that I moved in, my first kind of social interaction was going into the common room. Remember just meeting so many cool people, and they were just so nice, so welcoming, and it was quite nice, and I remember just like waffling to them for ages, and that was like kind of my first interaction, and I felt quite comfortable straight away. Guys, sorry if you can hear singing and like praying in the background. It is my dad, and if you've got keen eyes, you can probably see in the background that it's 11:30 p.m. It's 11:30 p.m. So yeah, we're still in first term and Freshers Week starts, and it is a bit hectic because obviously Oxford don't know the definition of Freshers Week. Guys, please don't come for me, don't come for me. The reason I'm saying this is because why am I being set an essay in Freshers Week, please? Pause. Why do I have practice tutorials in Freshers Week, please? Pause. So whilst all my friends at Leicester, DMU, Bristol, all these lot are having like 2-week freshers to having social events left, right, centre, you're telling me that I'm getting set essays in Freshers Week. So Freshers Week was definitely an interesting one because I come from a Christian background. My older brother was already at university, so just through what he told me, I kind of had a grasp of what university was going to be like. Like I kind of expected the atmosphere, the strong emphasis on the drinking culture, the clubbing culture, the work hard, play harder kind of vibe, but I never realized how deep rooted it was until I actually got to university. Like at Brasenose, we got sent timetables for our Freshers Week the day after we received our results in August, so like months ahead, and I just remember looking at like the evening events and everything was like club night, club night, club night, and I was like, wait, what? Like
what?
At that point I had never been to like a club night ever. I don't really drink alcohol, I've never been drunk before, so all of that was quite foreign to me, and I remember just feeling intimidated and, you know, like early signs of like not really imposter syndrome, but like scared that you're not going to fit in kind of vibes. And when I got to university, like it held some kind of truth in the sense that so many people relied on like clubbing events, drinking events to socialize. So the sad thing about it was that even before going to university, I already had this subconscious pressure to already conform to what the majority were doing in fear that I wouldn't fit in. And that's when kind of my story changed, because as soon as I got to university, the first kind of friends that I instantly like clicked with and started to get to know a lot more were people who were so like-minded. Like shout out Khadija, shout out Marie. Like we were the three pioneers, whatever it is. We were like it's musketeers. Sorry, wow. English is my second language. I'm joking. Everyone at Brasenose is amazing. Love to all of my friends, Brasenose, medics, like just big love to you all. But me, Khadija, we were squad. Definitely what kind of brought us together was our same sense of humor, but secondly that we had such similar principles in the sense that all of us were quite religious and quite firm in our faith, and just through like upbringing we weren't really accustomed to the whole like clubbing lifestyle and drinking. So it meant that whilst like everyone else was like out getting wasted, like off their heads, partying, whatever, me and my like two friends, like we would literally sit in one person's room and speak for the whole night. What made my experiences were the deep connections I formed with the little amount of people that I became close to, and in that sense I think like quality of friends over quantity of friends is like definitely an important thing. So to kind of summarize and wrap up everything I've said so far, because I don't think I've articulated it properly, for those of you out there who come from Christian backgrounds, religious backgrounds, or simply from backgrounds where you don't really drink, you don't really party, that kind of vibe, the drinking culture in university does exist, and it's definitely very prominent in universities. However, there are definitely ways around it. There are definitely ways to entertain yourself, have a social life, have fun without attending club or events. I think the secret to what got me through the first 2 terms in terms of my social life was definitely to connect and form deep relationships with like-minded people. I made a lot of connections and I fell into a lot of Christian groups, whether that be Bible study, fellowship, or the Christian Union. And yeah, later on in the video I'll be talking about what it's like to be a Christian at university, and I'll be talking about how I kind of overcame the challenges that I faced. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is sport. Sport is definitely a massive thing in universities. There's sports societies, sports social, sports balls. I'm on my university's seconds netball team. I had netball 5 to 6 times a week. Often that clashed with a lot of events, whether that be ACS events, college events, and it was just so frustrating because what I didn't realise coming into university was the amount of commitment that was required for you to play for university sports teams. And I think one of the lowest points that I experienced, and this was in first term, was when I just found the workload too much, and at that time I wasn't really enjoying myself. I was struggling to balance writing these essays with attending events, with balancing the contact hours I was having as a medic. I see where sports teams are coming from in terms of demanding commitment. Number one, you do trial for these sports teams. In a sense, in you not committing to the team, it's kind of unfair to people who trialed and didn't get in, who may have committed more than you. I understand. Being a team sport, your team relies on you for sure. What I kind of struggled to kind of accept and get my head around was the fact that we were first year students, and at that point I think I was like 3 or 4 weeks into my first term of my first year at university, and I was really struggling to. So yeah, besides that instance, netball, I love netball, I love sport, I love the team element of it. I love, you know, going to like different cities, different universities. We went to Lincolnshire, Coventry, Leicester, Cambridge, you know, I loved that element. And in second term actually we had a massive event called Varsity, which is like the annual playoff between Oxford and Cambridge. Like guys, rivalry is literally at its peak. We had Varsity in second term, my team lost, but out of the 3 teams, Oxford won 2, so Cambridge, take that. Take that. But yes, I love the girls there. I love the friends that I've made through netball, and the events that I have been to I have enjoyed to a certain extent. Now we're getting onto the hot topic of diversity. Diversity, does it exist? Does it exist in Oxford? To this day, I still don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it. Maybe it's hiding somewhere, but I don't see it. But yeah, on a serious note, diversity definitely is a problem. To kind of illustrate how deep the problem goes, I'm going to share with you guys some stats, and I'm going to put links to, you know, all the sources that I use. An article released by the Sherwell, which is kind of the student online magazine published by Oxford students, revealed that in 2017 more students were admitted from one private school, Westminster in London, than black students in total. It's not representative at all, and I think that clearly shows that the problem existed then. Being a student kind of behind these statistics and actually being a black young female who is experiencing this day to day, I definitely say that my experience is mixed. Mixed in the sense that I study medicine. My course is very diverse in comparison to other subjects at Oxford, such as classics, such as geography. There is such a disparity in representation that exists between subjects themselves, and I think that highlights that diversity isn't just like a whole systemic, holistic university thing, but it's also a challenge that is faced within subjects themselves. In medicine, I'm so fortunate to kind of experience the vast diversity that exists. There are so many like ethnic minorities, people from stateful backgrounds. Like, when I go to the lecture hall, I feel normal. I'm seeing my black sisters, my white brothers, my Asian sisters. Like, it's normal. I feel like I'm back in ends, bro. But when I leave the lecture theatres and kind of go back to my college, diversity is low, and the probability of running into, you know, another black person is low, like statistically. So yeah, first term was definitely a fat culture shock, but the people at my college, my friendship group in my college, were absolutely amazing. So I never felt lonely in the slightest. I never felt alone. I always had that friendship circle there. And I think another sad thing that exists is the kind of lack of representation that we see in the staff as a whole. Like, I'm just thinking back to all like the professors and lecturers that I have seen and met, and I don't think I have a single black professor. And kind of being in the position of a student looking up to my professors, especially if, you know, they're doctors, it's kind of sad to acknowledge that there isn't representation of me in like the professional sphere at Oxford. And I'm not saying that this is gonna limit me or make me feel like I can't do it, because I know that I can get to where I want to as long as I put the hard work in and as long as, you know, it's part of God's plan. But it is definitely something that we shouldn't overlook, and it definitely is something that exists, you know, because we look up to role models that we identify ourselves through. We look up to people that we can see ourselves through, and oftentimes that's easier when, you know, they're the same gender as you, when they come from the same background as you, when they're the same colour as you. Like, to be honest, diversity has been increasing in Oxford over the years. So the BME represented 14% of students in 2014, and that has risen to 18% in 2018, and over the past couple of years that has continued to rise. Also, diversity in terms of the schools that people came from has definitely seen a massive rise. So in the 2020 cycle of offers given out, I think over 69% of offers were given to state school people, and that definitely is showing positive growth and kind of movement towards the more diverse community and environment that we want to see in these high institutions, wholly down to an increase in access and outreach, an increase of initiatives such as the Unique Summer School, such as Target Oxbridge, the vast amount of events that societies such as the African Caribbean Society offer. And another thing, guys, for my fellow black Afro-Caribbean sisters out there who have this kind of hair, the Afro hair scene just doesn't exist. We live in the city centre, right? And not once have I seen an African hair shop. The braids I had at the start of term, 8 weeks later I had those braids, the same thing. The same thing.
What?
Because I could not take it out, because once I take it out, it's game over. You already know my struggles when it comes to going home. My timetable does not allow me to. Studies don't allow me to. Netball does not allow me to. So if my hair is out, it's out. It's done. So I just couldn't. But anyways, that's something quite trivial. But yeah, I just feel as though you guys should know that it's not the one. So during this holiday, during this lockdown, start to learn how to braid your own hair. Buy wigs if you have to. Learn how to cornrow your hair, sis, because hairdressers in Oxford, it's a blessing if you find one. Please, if you find one, let me know as well. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is societies. The main two society-like things that I joined were obviously my netball society and also the ACS, the African Caribbean Society. Banging community, banging people, banging events, just banging everything in general. Like from Freshers Week, these guys were on it in terms of organizing the most amazing, entertaining events. One of my favorite events from first term was like the meet and eat, where they literally ordered in like 20 boxes of pizzas, different flavors. Like that was just an opportunity to like kind of meet everyone, socialize with people alongside, you know, eating good, you know. And that was just the cutest event in Freshers Week. Got to know so many people from the ACS. Another one of my favorite events from the ACS is the Christmas event. Basically, we went to this Lebanese restaurant in Oxford and it was peng. And then later on, we went to a college where the later event was hosted, and the gospel choir, which at the time I was part of, sang some Christmas songs. It was beautifully executed, all of that. I will insert it here. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. And we also had like games, events, we had rap battles. We had games of Kahoot, like it was lit. It was actually so lit. Despite the fact that, you know, there isn't a lot of diversity that exists, or the fact that I don't really drink and go to these clubbing kind of events, I still managed to find the people that were right for me. I still managed to find the events that were right for me, the entertainment that was right for me. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is being a Christian at university. What's it like? So before I left for university, at home with my family, we would regularly go to church. Church was part of who I was. When I went to university and that scaffolding kind of fell away and it was up to me to push myself to go to church on the Sundays, it was up to me to find kind of a Bible study group for myself. I realized how hard it actually was when you're left to your own devices. At the start of the first time, I must admit, like my attendance to church just plummeted. I didn't know where to start in terms of finding a church, but as term progressed, I started to go to church and I went to a series of different churches. I think what I did was called church hopping, to try and see which churches were best for me. And yeah, kind of the last kind of place that I feel more settled into is kind of a branch of Hillsong Church in Oxford, and the services were quite interesting, very different to what I was used to. Yeah, I started to go to church, I started to meet like-minded people through church who went to my university, and I started to go to a lot of Bible studies. There were Bible studies that a lot of my ACS friends were going to, there were Bible studies that a lot of my Hillsong friends were going to. I really enjoyed fellowshipping with people my age, like-minded people, seeing people's insights into the Word of God, kind of in terms of what the Christian Union is like at university. But the Christian Union at Oxford is massive, and it's a beautiful community composed of people from all types of denominations, composed of Christians and non-Christians alike. And one of my favorite events that was hosted in second term was this week called Wonder Week. Wonder Week was basically organized by the Christian Union as a week where Christianity is explored, where deep philosophical, controversial, theological questions about Christianity are answered. And this was a kind of like evangelism in the sense that a lot of non-Christians were kind of invited. So it was like an excellent way of kind of giving people insight into the faith. And I found, as a Christian, I found kind of the talks interesting. So yeah, that concludes the second part to my second term at Oxford. And yeah, I definitely touched upon a lot of first term as well, but I thought that was relevant. I hope you guys have found this entertaining as well as interesting. And yeah, if you've liked this video, please let me know so I know that I'm creating content that you guys want to see. And again, recommend videos if you want me to film them. On that note, I'm gonna love you guys and leave you and see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.